All right. Well, hey, Robbie Earl, you guys have some news that you're announcing here this week that is pretty exciting. Linked Eats, but we're going to dive into that. Welcome to the show.
Michael Wolf, so good to see you. Thanks for having me
Yeah,
on. Really
it's
excited to
been a
be here
while.
today.
It's
It's
been a
been a
while since
minute.
we connected. Yeah, and you've been busy, and I feel like this virtual or virtual restaurant space has been evolving super fast, and you guys have been there through so much of this. But if you just look like 2 years ago versus today, I feel like it's changed dramatically. So, um,
In the digital business and especially in the restaurant business, everything is always constantly fluctuating. And these past 2 years have been um, no exception to the rule there. And there's been a lot of change. We're one of the few that are left in the space, still delivering a consistent quality experience for our customers and driving home revenue to restaurants. And really, the mission, just to reiterate it again, Michael, is to add 1,000 extra orders a month to your restaurant, which is a huge boost. We're still far off from that number, but that is our mission to get your restaurant orders and your restaurant higher profit and savings.
we're gonna jump into the Linked Eats product because that's what you're really bringing out here. But let's step back and talk about virtual dining concepts and give people an update on that and kind of what's going on there.
Yeah, so we started now quite a while ago. We've been at this for 6 to 8 years.
Yep.
And the company's grown. We've had some setbacks here and there, and there's been some turmoil in the space, but we're excited to get back to growth now and targeting new brands. I don't know if you heard or you saw the news. We acquired a group called Man vs. Fries, and they were really
Yep.
one of the only other breakouts in the space that we saw that was doing a fantastic job in the virtual space. You, of course, have Wow Bao and a few others, but Man vs. Fries was a perfect fit for us from an acquisition standpoint. And so we took the number of brands that we had from 20 down to 8 to 10 now. We're looking to scale that back again. We've gone omni-channel, so now you can go in some of our
Mm.
partner restaurants and experience this license collab that is driving additional customers to your store from an entirely different customer base than what's native to your core business. And so the model's constantly evolving and in fluctuation. And we're now at a pretty good place where we're looking to grow and scale again. And we're looking to build on the brands that we have today and introduce some new ones. And there's still a lot of traction in the market. Nobody can give
Mm.
me an accurate estimate of the actual market size.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. It's
think
hard to
it's
come
somewhere
across
in
the
the
stats.
yeah, I think it's somewhere in the 50,000 storefronts that are out there on these platforms that could be anywhere from 1 to 2 billion in GMV, which we're still a small fraction of that as a company. And a lot of that is independence. A lot of that
Yep.
is chains doing it themselves.
What did you learn as you've gone from 20 down to 8 to 10? What were some of the lessons you learned over the past couple of years that you caused you to kind of revisit the portfolio, whittle down to those core 8 to 10? And then as you look forward, what are you thinking about? Hey, what you're going to do different?
Ton of learnings. I would say not everything works, and there is a science to it, and we're always constantly tinkering
Mm.
and learning. Certain cuisines do better than others, certain talent resonate more than others, and it really has to be a fit with the restaurant in terms of operations and the items that they're bringing in. And it just has to have a cohesive experience across the board for the guest to really be driven to it. We have a pretty high repeat customer rate for all of our brands at around 40%. And that's pretty standard across the whole space for us. And, it's interesting if you look at comparing a brick and mortar restaurant to a virtual restaurant, they're totally different. They're
Mm.
a different proposition. We're really trying to drive a value and an experience to the end customer. And how can we do that? Through discounting, through a different alternative retail strategy. Our concepts are simpler than some of the menus in these brick and mortar restaurants. And so it's easy to execute. It's a win-win, a win for the restaurant and a win for the guest. But I will say, some of the guests are a little hesitant on ghost kitchens, or they had been. But the repeat metrics are there, and there was this narrative that got carried away, but we always try and be transparent about where the food is coming from. We're proud of the fact that we're helping restaurants. There's never something that we want to hide. And example of how we can take that a little bit further is by going on the actual menu inside those restaurants. So with man versus fries, a perfect example for you. That's generating about $1,000 extra, $1,200 extra a week from virtual revenue, with a group called On the Border. And you can also go into an On the
Mm,
Border and experience the man versus fries within the On the
mm.
Border. And it sort of becomes this flywheel that fuels itself of you're attracting the customers that are around you to different experiences. And by coincidence, we become an extension and a marketing arm of your restaurant.
Going on menu like man versus fries in this restaurant, is that something that you've been pushing more recently? And how widely spread is that, where like you might see a man versus fries on like one of your 4,000 or so kitchens?
Yeah, it's something we've been focusing as of late. It's something that we've always wanted to do, and we've always
Okay.
tested it. And it's just incremental dollars. It's about double the business that you can do just going virtual. So you're
Mm,
taking that number almost overnight and doubling it. Some pause is there any cannibalization? But what we do is we make sure it's priced accordingly and it's not a trade down for the restaurant, and the fans of these brands can actually experience them within the restaurant. So we can take the digital experience and make it a physical experience as well. So just furthering that goal of how do we get you 1,000 extra orders a month for your restaurant, and slowly chipping away at it. And one of the things I'm very excited to talk to you about today is our technology product, which is really the culmination of all of our delivery experience and knowledge and know-how built into a product that helps you get the most out of the DSP platforms and works
mm.
cohesively with the stack that's there today. And it's such a big category, so it's hard to ignore now.
Talk about this. So you're announcing Linked Eats, which is your tech stack. It seems like it's been an evolution to get there. For example, we were just talking about how you guys you acquired the tech portion of Craved, which I noticed that Devin was your CEO and he came from Craved, and you guys essentially acquired that. So how did you get from kind of 2 years ago to or whatever to building a full tech stack, and where you are today with Linked Eats?
So when we started, technology for the ghost kitchen industry in general was very new. So there was
Mm,
nothing that was
yeah.
purpose built. You could work with the various platforms across the system of managing delivery, and none of them solved our exact needs. So we had to build tools that would solve the items we needed to solve at scale in real time. And so we started developing out those tools internally. Then we made the acquisition of Devin's company, Crave,
Mm,
and Devin is now in charge of Linked Eats, the platform today. And it's really enhanced our capabilities across the
mm.
board. Before, where we were throwing bodies at a problem and just trying to scale up people very fast to manage the business, we can now do some of those items with software. And it just so happens that this software is very much needed in the space today. And what we're doing is we're packaging everything that we've learned, all of this know-how, into an easy to use tool that can automate and optimize your delivery business. We're very much believers in delivery, in the DSP platforms, and we want to enhance the experience there, whether it's fixing errors, fixing downtime, fixing chargebacks, or optimizing on the marketing side, and really operationally coaching stores, because there is a huge difference in a 3.9 star store and a 4-star store, and there are certain benchmarks that you really have to hit if you want to keep improving on the business.
So what all are you bringing to your potential customers in this software stack? It seems like you're aggregating a lot of different components. What are all the different pieces, and how modular is it?
So the way that I look at it is there is this new layer that's unfolding in the restaurant delivery ecosystem. The same way that middleware evolved out of the need to managed tablet mania that came. This new layer is optimization and automation, for lack of a better term. And there's really 100 tools that are in this layer. And right now, from a restaurateur's perspective, putting on my hat there, they're all priced too high. They all don't really solve a need, and some of them are nice to have, but I only have so much budget a month. So what we want to do is we want to offer as many features as possible for an affordable price for restaurants, and drive as much value as possible back to your restaurant, increasing the amount of flow through to the bottom line, or finding you savings on all these things. It also really works well as a co-pilot, just automating some of these tasks. And delivery is so new still, Michael. It's only 10 years old, and that's crazy to think about, that it's now just touching higher double digits of the business percentage. And managing all the platforms in multiple places and looking at different dashboards is extremely complex and time consuming, and often just trying to get the right data and reconcile with the POS, it's a problem. So the two things that we're offering here is both time and money back to you, back to your teams, back to your restaurants, back to the individuals in the store.
So what software are you looking to replace? I mean, are we looking to replace the Toast POS type of system? Are you working with all the different delivery dashboards, or are you kind of replacing their software dashboards with your own? What are you bringing in and replacing?
Well, the interesting thing is we're not really replacing anything. We're kind of this value layer on top, and we work with a number of the middlwares, and we work with the DSPs, and we're starting to work with the POS companies and tying it all together. But there's a lot of disparate sources, and all of these groups offer you a dashboard, but how many dashboards can you look in a day is a serious question to ask yourself. So what we want to do is we want to kind of drive you towards automated actions and have an action-oriented product versus a dashboard-oriented product. So can you, in real time, click of a button, change something that you're doing within your business, or help operationally coach up your stores for someone that's failing on a certain item, such as missing ingredients that's extremely high. So we categorize all of those errors, and we rank the stores, and we use it to performance coach our stores. So how can we improve our star rating, our missing and incorrect, and all these things are applicable to the virtual business, and the learnings we get are offered here, and also just used to power some of the intelligence behind it.
Interesting. Who is your competitor doing this? I mean, it sounds like, maybe like SBE Hospitality, they obviously acquired Nextbite. Who do you see as your competition here?
Well, we've always been a fan of building everyone up in the industry and building the industry together. So I would say that the more people in the space trying to do virtual brands, the better. It's hard to say these days. There are a few others that are out there still doing it. Most of the market is people doing it on their own still. So, from a virtual brand perspective, we're just offering you a higher quality experience, more streamlined across the board, and higher revenues, and also just the potential to not be removed from the platform. So I'm sure you heard, Michael, there was essentially this massive purge that happened, and every single company, every single restaurant, every single group was affected by it. And the standards have changed, and the barrier to entry has been raised. And we now have much better capabilities to maintain that threshold above the barrier to make sure that you stay online. We were talking to a group of independent restaurants the other day that is 5 pizza shops out in California, and they're one example of, they were running 5 brands, and they got flagged as not meeting the guidelines anymore. So that revenue is gone, and they're looking to add a purpose-built virtual brand back into their restaurants so they can get those revenues up. So we're working with them to replace that business that they lost there.
That's super interesting. So the big purge came a couple years ago, when like the Uber Eats of the world, and they all kind of said, okay, there's too much, I don't know, spam or just too much confusion. We wanted quality control. And then you guys talk a little bit about that and what happened, the fallout.
Well, I think it's super important to talk about quality. So we always try and put out the best experience possible
Mhm.
for our customers. We make sure we work with the best restaurants. We have a rigorous process for vetting the restaurants and ensuring
Yeah.
quality on that side. And then it is oftentimes easier to execute than your core menu. So we really try and engineer it so that you're getting the best experience possible. And could you just repeat the beginning of the question?
Well, you kind of referred to kind of that tectonic quake that happened to
Oh,
the virtual
yes.
restaurant space a couple years ago, where I think the delivery guys said, "Hey, we need to kind of do a little bit of quality control, say who's legit or whatever." Like they did some cleanup, and so you're what you're saying. Also, you're helping some of these restaurants shepherd through this what happened there to a certain degree.
Yes. So they raised the bar for everyone, and we
Yep.
were impacted by it. Everyone was impacted by it. But, virtual brand quality and brick and mortar quality is pretty identical. If you are a good brick and mortar restaurant, you are going to be a good virtual brand operator. That is how we see it, and that is often how it's impacted. Now, the metrics are different because the
Mm.
amount of orders you generate on a virtual brand are significantly less than what you generate out of your virtual brand. So, where a store gets to 1,000 orders very fast, it takes us a little bit longer to get to that benchmark on the digital platforms where you start to see metrics even out to where they are today when you go on tonight on delivery platforms. But to go back for a second to that period where the platforms have removed a number of locations, the first thing they did was they eliminated the worst offenders. And the worst
Mm.
offenders were you're a chicken chain, a burger restaurant, and you just decided to take your exact same product and call it Chicken 2 or Burger 2. And that was a major red flag for them because they're very
Yeah.
focused on the end experience for customers. So that was kind of the first wave of things. And now if you look online, they both all of the big ones have specific guidelines for what you have to adhere to. And we were hit by some of it as well, and we had to change our brands and move at their whim, and we've done that. And then the second wave was really just improving quality all across the board to higher metrics. And some of these standards are very high. Even if you look at it from a brick and mortar standpoint, and they're just trying to enhance the experience there, which I understand. It just takes a little bit longer to get up there on virtual brands. If you get it 3 orders a week and one was bad, is your store really a bad operator as a result of that? My opinion is no, that it
Mm.
takes a
Yeah.
time and a period of consistency. And, we have all the right things in place to ensure that, and all the right training methods and all the right plans in place in the event there is something that is concerning on the food quality side. And, we take a very serious approach to that.
Linked Eats as a new product offering, I think that I would guess primarily it was offered to your brands, but now are you essentially saying to the world, hey, if you're running a virtual restaurant and you need a technical software tech stack to manage your virtual restaurant business, this is for you, and you don't necessarily have to be on like a BDC brand or whatever. Is that kind of what you're saying to the world in a sense?
The exciting thing, Michael, is it doesn't discriminate between a virtual brand and your regular
Mm,
brand. So
okay.
all of the learnings that we have, think of this massive data set of hundreds of millions of dollars of digital orders that we generate. We now have all those learnings that we can give to you and to your brick and mortar restaurant. So whether it's saving a client $500,000 because of bank account details, whether it's determining that certain items have been 86 from the store and you've got 1 to 3 million in breakage that's happening a year across the digital business. We have all those tools now that are applicable to your brick and mortar business. So it's going further down the path of digital revenue and
Mm,
automating and
yeah.
optimizing those workflows, but it's also applicable to a brick and mortar restaurant, like some of our clients that we have on board, the California Pizza Kitchens of the world, the Charlie Cheesesteak of the world, and other groups.
Oh, I apologize about that. I'll edit that out. I accidentally hit mute.
No problem.
That's why we're not going live. I have to ask you about so on the press release, you guys have 4,000 restaurants across 30 brands. Um, is that the entire universe of like the VDC kind of portfolio, or is that like just only a part of it?
That's only on the tech side. So,
Okay.
the on the virtual side, it's probably about double that at the moment,
Mm.
with minimal overlap. It just so happened that a lot of people in the industry were looking for the type of technology that we offered. So we were able to go beyond the scope of customers that we have for virtual brands today. But if you think of it on that flywheel basis, again, it really does fuel itself. The more digital orders we can generate, the more significant and powerful the software becomes, the more it can enhance both your core business and the virtual offerings.
That's great. All right. Well, I have to ask because people wonder because it was such a big piece of news for you guys. But you guys, you probably can't comment too much. But tell me a little bit about the state of play with regards to BeastBurger. I know that you guys were kind of you guys went to court with them, but where are we with that?
Yeah, so I unfortunately at this time it's still an ongoing case,
Okay.
so I can't comment much on it today. We are still operating the brand. It is still on offer and available, but there will be, I think some other news coming on it soon. But it is still an open court case.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that update. But this is exciting news. Linked Eats. It sounds like you guys are really pushing hard on this. I think you definitely are right in that running a virtual restaurant brand and running a delivery centric restaurant. You need specific sets of software, and kind of having a unique software stack is very interesting. So congratulations on the announcement, and very interested to follow where this goes.
Thank you so much, Michael, and really appreciate you taking the time and telling this story with us, and look forward to continuing to build in the industry with everyone.
All right. Thanks, Robbie.
Thanks, Michael.
All right.